All right, guys, welcome to the third episode of the Leverage Legion Remodeler Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest here, Manny. And this podcast, for anyone who doesn't know, it's mainly to inspire the youth, people who are just getting into the industry, people who are already in the industry and want to grow, be more successful. So yeah, Manny, can introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Manny Munoz. We work for Green Restoration and Remodeling, and we are involved with three other gentlemen who are the Green brothers, Jimmy, Jason, and Matt, and we handle remodeling and restoration throughout the Lehigh Valley and surrounding areas. My current position, I guess, with the company would be Director of Operations. So
Hmm.
I'm actually running the business on this side.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so just I guess you could take us back to the beginning of it all. How'd you get started?
So how it got started is the three brothers. They were actually part of another company called R&J Carpet Connection. They're started by their father like 30 plus years ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's deceased. Left them the business a few years before that. Actually, that unfortunate event happened, and then they spun off to start working in the remodeling side, another branch of their business, and that's where we all connected and got started.
So I guess what kind of role did you play in that?
They decided how we met is I worked for several restoration companies
Hmm.
and they worked as a subcontractor doing flooring. And then,
Okay.
one day they decided to expand their business. And then I started subbing them out for other things,
Oh,
such
okay.
as drywall, trim work, and things like that. And they actually grew from there, realizing that they did not have to be the subcontractor anymore. They could be the general contractor in themselves. And as years went on, they brought me into the mix to actually expand that greatly. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and then, you know, there's always bumps and bruises in the beginning, but
Yeah.
of course, now we are in a very comfortable spot.
Nice. And then I guess like how long did they start? Like when did they start this?
This was like 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Cool. And I mean like what was like the first year looking like for you guys?
Well, the first year, obviously, things were, not, I guess, not good and not good until a process was created. Once the process got created and now we know where every cent is going, things are budgeted correctly, and everything comes down to process. Now everything is definitely looking up, very organized. Things are running on schedule or according to schedule that we can control. Obviously, there's always things that are going to happen that are outside of our control, but that's where we're at now.
And with the process, like what did you guys implement to, help things go?
Well, process is everything in this business. But, we have to have a standard. It can't just be, a customer calls, here's a number, they call you or don't call you. That's just a losing formula. We have, for one thing, we have to have a good customer connection. We have to have a standardized estimating software or platform. Like this is what it is, X, Y, Z. We usually don't negotiate things. It's just like, this is what the standard is. This is what it is. Now, if you want to come down from that price, fine. We won't do these line items. And because, at the end of the day, we have to be a successful business, but we have to be devoted to service. We have to be emotionally involved, especially with the restoration side, because a lot of these people are dealing with perils, house fires, water damage. Sometimes trees fall on homes and, people are out. So you got to be emotionally involved. You have to be motivated. That's a big thing that people don't have. You always have to be motivated to help somebody out because they're going through a rough time,
And
and you got to be organized. If you're organized, everything else will fall into place.
nice. And with the estimating systems, like do you guys use any like new tools to, make that work?
Well, yeah, digitally is what I kind of implemented into this business. We
Yeah.
love using the Xactimate software. It's a lot of carriers require it.
Yeah.
And then the other one is called Symbility. I guess it's called something else now. It's like Quotality or whatever. But point is, everybody knows it as Symbility in this
Yeah.
industry. And then it's a standardized, practice.
Mm.
It's a standardized practice.
Does that have to do with like you guys use like any AI or like is it just that?
No, AI is actually something I've been doing for myself just
Mm.
to, I use it as a tool, especially to get out emails that sound a little bit more professional looking. And I'm able to handle more work volume
Mm.
because of it, because I don't have to spend, 15, 20 minutes typing out a
Yeah.
long email. I'm actually just talking to my chat GPT. And then I even get into my funny times where if it's an aggressive conversation, I go, please make this aggressive, you know, and hey, and it works, you know what I mean? And it works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I still vet it because I don't want to insult anybody, but that's just sometimes tools that are definitely helping the industry. They're not hurting it.
And I guess what else did you guys do to kind of get out of that rough year that you guys had?
Well, we just got organized. Unfortunately,
Organized.
you get into some jobs where whoever was there beforehand did not estimate it correctly, did not communicate with, the ownership correctly, and you're stuck in some of those ruts. And then all you can do is say, "Hey, look, you know what? This is what it is. This is what the margin's going to be. Let's just get past it and put it to the back."
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, you got to be stern with customers as well, because sometimes people are sold, and you don't know who's lying and who's not lying.
Yeah.
Because nothing's in black and white. And for me, if it's not in black and white, it doesn't exist, because somebody can say, well, this guy is no longer with the company now. He promised me a bunch of fancy lights. Well, there's no email. There's nothing saying that was supposed to happen. So it comes down to, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, who's paying for it? Because if you're saying that we were supposed to do this, but this is the contract you signed and nothing's in the estimate for it, where did it come from? Oh, well, somebody said, no, that's not the case. Sometimes you have to go back and say, hey, listen, let's just do things legit. I can reorganize this, re-estimate it. That way we're good on both sides. And usually you find a good common ground to get to the end of it. And, unfortunately, sometimes you're going to lose money. Sometimes you're going to make money in those situations, but you always have to be honest. Because despite what people think, sorry, I don't mean to hijack the interview here. Despite what people
Very good.
think, the customer is not always right. We're not in a diner in the 1970s anymore, where the customer is always right. Many times the customer is overbearing, is incorrect, is dishonest. Like, it's a different world now. Now, if you're going to be one of our customers, it's just like we have to fit the bill of the contractor you want. You have to fit the bill of the customer that we want.
Right.
So maybe that's a different perspective, but that's the perspective we have, and it's working.
So everything has to be kind of punctual, and you have to have, stuff written down. So it's like concrete.
Yeah. Yes.
And you also said about, the ideal client. Do you guys always find the ideal clients, or do you ever have like clients that are not, what you guys were expecting?
Well, nothing's 100%, but what's going to be 100% is how we communicate. There's always going to be a client that's going to be not willing to meet a common ground. Sometimes you have to be stern, and sometimes you just have to say it like it is. Say, hey, look, I wanted the cabinet to be delivered, or the cabinets to be delivered on Thursday. Unfortunately, they're down 2 drivers and it's coming next Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And they start, well, that's not what I was promised. I'm like, listen, I know what I said. I also know that I don't have a CDL license.
Yeah.
So you can go back and forth with me and complain that it didn't come on Thursday, or just accept the fact that it's coming on Tuesday. And by the way, let's talk about how everything else was ahead of schedule. Transparency. And believe me, I'm not as aggressive with customers. These are few and far between. You asked, when customers are not the ideal client. And that's just stuff that happens. At the end of the day, if you do everything right, if you're devoted to the service, if you're emotionally involved, if you're motivated and you're organized, chances are they're happy with the finished product. And they're like, you know what? It happened still within the parameter of the time it was going to be completed. And I'm still happy with our finished product. And therefore I'm happy with the service.
Nice. And you would say that, getting to that level takes some sort of time.
Of course. I mean, I came in with the brothers with a lot of experience. I grew up in the construction trades. I was on a job site at 6 years old with my father. It's
Nice.
It's the way it was. I grew up around it. So there's a lot of stuff that I have forgotten more stuff than some people have learned, and luckily for me, I don't have that ego of I feel like I'm learning every single day. So it's not like it's my way and I'm not going to change. If my way works for 10 years, but then the world changes, I have to change.
And you've been in this industry your whole career, or did you do something else like before that?
Well, all right. So getting out of high school, unfortunately, the trades did not pay much money. So I was in warehousing and I was wasting my life away. And, one day I just decided that in my typical fashion, I took a picture of the last pallet that I ever wrapped at a warehouse, at a cold storage place. And I put it on Facebook and I said, this is the last pallet I'm ever going to wrap in a warehouse. I don't care what it takes. I am not doing this anymore. I love the trades. Fortunately for me, my wife was just like, listen, I'm tired of you coming home miserable all the time. I don't care what it takes, but you're not going to work there anymore. Do whatever you have to do. And I was doing side jobs and I got back into the trades. And fortunately, I got into restoration, remodeling. Some people were paying me well. And then I worked my way up to management. And then now, I am where I am.
That's real, because I know a lot of people that, they want to get out of that rat race, out of the normal jobs. And
yeah, well, and it comes down to what was funny is that the day before I actually ended up doing that, I was watching the last episode of Frasier, where he's talking on the mic and he's talking about the road less taken, and it's a scary road. And that's why people don't take it. And I took that from a dumb sitcom and I put it on Facebook and blah, 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 and put my own take to it and where I got it from. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to go in to that warehouse tomorrow with my letter of resignation. I'm going to go to every supervisor and I'm going to tell them exactly what I think of them. And I'm going to walk out that front door. And that's exactly what I did. And I never looked back. So people need to stop being afraid of making that choice in their life, no matter where it is, because life can be really long or life can be really short. You don't know which way it's going to happen. I could have been working in that crap hole, just saying, all right, I'm just paying my bills for the next 30 years and been completely miserable. Right now, I'm extremely happy that I made that decision.
So it was definitely worth it for you.
Oh, it was no doubt. It was no doubt.
That's
It was
what,
no doubt. Even at first, I wasn't making as much money, but I was happy, and that's what mattered.
yeah,
You know, so I was willing to grind a little bit.
it's really important because, you could stay the same place, but that could end up being worse than, taking that risk and actually,
Yeah,
getting into the trades or starting your own
yeah.
company.
No. Well, whenever it comes down to anybody who starts a business, at some point they were faced with that decision because it's a scary thing.
Yeah.
It's a scary thing. You don't know what the future can hold. You know what you can do in an organized environment where somebody else has made the risk and they're paying you and you get all the benefits and and you get the 401ks and all right, everything is stable. You don't know what's going to happen when you leave that environment. People always say, I can do better. Can you? If you can, if you really believe in yourself, that people are going to invest in you. If you really don't believe in yourself, it's hard to invest in that. Fortunately, I got myself involved with three brothers that say, hey, I think this is worth the investment. And they kind of, said they believed that I was the guy.
Yeah.
And so far, I don't know, you disappointed? Not at all.
Yeah. And I think that's a natural instinct that I think all men should have, to work, to create something for yourself, a legacy, and,
Mhm.
not slave away to some employer that doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
So, I think it's
Yeah.
really important to take that risk.
Yeah. And it sucks. And believe me, the warehouse I worked at, 184351. When they called me on the loudspeaker, they called me by name. It was like I was in prison.
Oh, like the
And
number?
the shirts were orange. I felt like I was in prison. I'll never forget that number. I had nightmares about it.
So they called you by the number.
By your employee number. You
Oh
weren't
my
even a
God.
name. That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh, yeah. But either way, I got out of it. So it was the right move. I get to help people every single day. Even with just regular retail remodeling customers, I love meeting them. They say, hey, look, a lot of times it's really weird. A lot of times people say, you know what? I called 5 people. You're the only one who showed up. I still haven't figured that part out of the business yet. We're doing a finished basement right now for a lovely younger couple. They're just like, yeah, we called several people. You're the only one who came. So you got the job. So it's like, I have to sell to get the job. Really, I'm like a mayor running unopposed.
So most of these guys, like, what do they don't pick up the phone, or what is it?
They just don't show. They say they're going to show up. They don't show up. I
Are they
don't understand it.
are they busy, or like what's going on to them?
I have no idea. Everybody must be so busy because it's happened multiple times and I just don't get it. But hey, here's the thing is that if people think that they're so busy and somebody like me or us at this company, Green Restoration and Remodeling, is competing against you, we're going to get all the work and we're going to make sure all customers are happy because we're hungry.
And what type of work do you guys mainly do?
Well, I mean, mainly we can do rebuilds of houses. We do finished basements. We do kitchens and bathrooms. We're spread out pretty good in all the trades, and we're subbed out with our sub list is very long and it's very vetted. Good. Our subs are good people like us. We want it to be like chips off the block here, where we're like, hey, we're all kind of the same. Our electrician was just in here. Our one, I guess you could call him a general contracting sub, where he does multiple things. He comes in here joking around, we have snacks, we're telling jokes and stuff. Like, we have a good camaraderie of, we're a family business and we want to make sure that our subs and even our employees are, it feels like family.
Yeah, I heard that relationships are really important when
Yeah.
not only creating a company, but also just with the clients, making everything work better. So yeah.
Yeah, believe me, relationship building is like, it's a big priority of ours. Like, by the time I'm done, especially with some of these jobs, you can get a fire job. And if the customer, like I was telling you, aligning yourself with that customer, you're going to be married to that person 6, 8, sometimes 10 months, because sometimes it's a complete rebuild.
Yeah.
There's a lot of inspections involved. There's a lot of going back and forth with the adjuster involved. You want to make sure that, you're getting to know these people. There's people on my Facebook page that I've known for years. They always say, "Hey, how you doing?" By the way, at times I even just recently, me and one of our project managers stopped by a customer that we worked for because, we just, "Hey, let's stop by and see how they're doing." And they were so happy to see us, good things like that.
And did that play a role in like getting your first couple of jobs with the company, or or
Yeah,
did they do
it
that?
always plays a role. It always plays a role to some extent. You can show up and say, "All right, XYZ, here's the price, goodbye," and then that guy's competing against me, and I'm just like, "Hey, so we have to do this, 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 and this. Oh, I noticed that you guys played, you have your high school basketball photos up. You played for a local school around here. I used to play for this guy." And they go, "Oh, did you know him and him and him?" Yeah, I do know them. Like it's,
Yeah.
and, there's almost no situation where I can't relate to anybody with the experiences I've had in my life. So it's always a good selling point too. Not that I'm just trying to sell. Sometimes I'm just trying to talk. Sometimes the numbers become too much. I go out and site inspect, or I do, a scope, and you just want to talk to people, and
Yeah.
it always helps out to be personable.
Who's handling like the sales part of your company? Is it you guys, or do
We
you
we
guys
all
have?
play a hand. We all play a hand
Oh,
in
okay.
that. You know, whether it's Jimmy, the oldest brother, getting a call for a carpet, and they say, "Hey, yeah, we want to finish basement." Or Jason, same thing. Matt, same thing. I'm usually on the end of getting all the phone calls
Mm,
directly. So even our one project manager, he's out there. If he has to sell something, everyone. Here's an important thing: everyone in your business is in sales. Everyone in your business is in accounts receivable, I should say. Everyone can collect a check. Everyone can sell. That's not specific to one person. Because when somebody says, "Oh, I need more work and I need to hire a sales guy," kind of look at them like, "What are you not doing?"
mm. So that was necessary at the beginning, or did you guys like have
Hmm.
referrals?
Uh, I mean, you get some referrals here and there, but really, it kind of happened organically, just by us being who we are. We just, it happened a lot faster. I was just saying in a meeting yesterday that our business blossomed even faster than I thought. You know, we're just doing very, very well, very healthy.
And you would say right now is it a busy season or is it slower?
This is supposed to be our swoon, our down season.
Oh,
Even with
really?
remodeling, like, yeah, it's like even in retail work and remodeling, it's usually by now you have all the things contracted and you're just working off a backlog.
Mm,
Our backlog is growing like exponentially, and it even has me surprised. Even in restoration work, it's like just growing and growing and growing. And now once we get into the busy seasons, which is usually in restoration, it's the fall, winter, and even for everything else on the interior, for finished basements, usually winters are pretty busy.
mm.
That's where everybody goes to because nobody can do anything outside. It's looking like it's going to be extremely, extremely aggressive.
And have you ever had any moments like in the company where, things were rougher, like a hard time?
No, I think with the experience that we've had over the last few years, I kind of divert us away from any potential situations. Like if something comes up questionable, we come to the table and I say, "Hey, look, this is what we're at risk for. This can happen and it can be positive, but look at who we're dealing with. Look at what the scope of the work is, and if this is what we're going to do, we need to expect X." And then we make a business decision from that point.
Mm. So yeah, I asked this to the other guys. Does faith play a role in your success?
Faith.
Yeah.
For me, yes. For me, yes.
Mm.
I'm with the other three, I don't know. But for me, yes, it does. It does. Yeah. Faith is a big motivator for me.
And I mean, I guess like tell me a little more about that. Like, how does that how does that move you?
Well, I mean, I had several situations over the last couple years where I could have died, and faith definitely got me past the point that's what brought me to God. And always, I felt since then I've been being pushed in the right
Mm.
situations. And it seems like whenever something is meant to be, it's no joke, it's meant to be. These guys came to me at the right time where I was thinking, "Hey, maybe I'm going to do this on my own and struggle from the beginning." And then they said, "Hey, basically before you do that, let's have a conversation," and it happened.
I mean, I guess like with this entire time, like what was the best memory that you had? Like the best story you could tell?
There's several, but as far as a customer, we had a elderly couple,
Hmm.
wonderful couple that they would walk, and one was a deacon he was a deacon of a church, and she was something else too. I forget what her position was in the church, but they were a 90-some-year-old couple,
Yeah.
and they would literally walk in the house holding each other's hand. I just was like, so, and they had a lovely daughter that who has They had a lovely granddaughter through her too. And I just fell in love with this family. Well, when they were displaced in like it was a bad situation. I didn't like the apartment that they were displaced in. It's called ALE, Alternative Living
Mm,
Expenses. Insurance will pay for them to be somewhere else. They had to walk up 4 flights of steps, and I hated it. It kind of lit a fire under me saying, I got to get these guys back into their home. And in a record amount of time, I was able to produce this job for them. And the husband got very, very sick to the point where we didn't know if he was going to make it back home. And I remember getting the job done, and he was able to get back home. And then 3 weeks later, he passed away. But I was
mm,
so happy. And even the mother, the wife said how happy she was that he was able to come home before he unfortunately made,
mm.
passed on, and he's in God's hands now. That was probably the best thing I could ever, explain to anybody. It felt really good. And that's the family we went to go visit the other day.
So you had to complete it before he.
Yeah. I got it all done,
Oh,
everything
wow.
completed. And this was and people don't know what happens in the background. It's not like, oh, I'm physically working. I'm
Mm,
controlling this job, which means I'm getting these subcontractors out there. I'm getting this drywaller guy. I'm telling, listen, man, you got to get this painting done. Oh well, I could get there by Tuesday. No, get there by Monday. I can have it done in 2 weeks. Get done in a week, please. Send more people at it. And we made it happen. We made it happen. And then I unfortunately I gave her a call one morning just to I had to drop something off. I forgot what it was. It was like a piece of furniture or something that said, hey, I got it at Home Depot. I got to drop it off. She told me that morning he passed away. And then when I dropped it off, I actually helped. The coroner was shorthanded,
mm.
and I actually helped them move the body, to the hearse, which, sometimes you got to be emotionally involved.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is.
Have you ever like hit a wall mentally during your career?
No, I'm perfect. No, I
I
tell you what,
figured.
there's some times where things have to be figured out. I'm somebody who learns from my mistakes. So there's been less walls as times have come on, but there's always a time where somebody says, hey, look, if you want this job, then it's got to be done by a certain amount of time, but everybody's booked and they just have to wait. And am I going to figure this out? Am I going to vet a new sub? Am I going to blah, 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 whatever? A lot less lately. Nothing really comes to mind as like, a mental, like hitting a wall. I guess a lot of problems in previous companies where, employees are just not doing what they were supposed to do. And I was spread thin. Those are kind of walls that I used to hit, but now I don't put myself in those situations.
And at what point, like in the company, did you realize like this is what I'm gonna do? Like this is good.
Uh, Early on, the second I came here, I kind of knew that they knew who I was. I knew I had a good idea of who they were. And I'm a very, I don't know, I guess a unique personality where I'm not everybody's cup of tea. My
Mm,
temperament and my ambition is not accepted by everybody. I always say there's more of them than there are of me. Here, it's welcomed. Here, it's like, listen, you have a clean slate. Do what you got to do. Just let us know what you're doing. It's fine. And it's been greenlit ever since. So I'm very happy with it. So once I knew that with no harness on my back, that it was going to succeed,
mm.
then I just say, all right, this is where I'm going to be the rest of my life. You know, even my wife says, you know what, you deserve it. They're not, because everybody always presented themselves with, this is what you're going to have. Everybody says that they want the ambitious people, the aggressive people, the people that want to, come early, stay late. Everybody says they want it until they get it. And then it's something different. Then they don't know what to do with what they have. These guys knew what to do with what they had. So I know what to do with what I have
Mm.
now too.
At the beginning, is there anything that you wish you kind of knew that you didn't?
Yeah, be a little bit more descriptive.
Like when you were first starting out, is there anything that
Okay. I
you
got a
wish you
good
could
one
have
for you
known?
there. Okay. I got a good one for you. So when you're young and you're trying to build, your backlog, your projected revenue, your possible revenue, whatever, you get into situations where you're just like, anything that comes along, I got to get it. I got to show that I belong. I got to show that I'm bringing in money. I got to start producing revenue. I got to start making money. However, that's where mistakes are made.
And
Because I remember one time I had just got into management and I said, a call came in for a fire job and it was a twin home. Okay. This is going to be an interesting story. So I sold myself. They wanted to go with me. I wasn't really aligned with the customer. So one guy was a quality control consultant for a huge construction company, and the other guy was a historical restoration contractor. Both of them were in their 60s, and no matter what I said, they looked at me like I was an idiot. Even though I was correct in many things. I mean, maybe they wanted their blocks or whatever done a certain way, and we had a different method that they didn't know about. but it aligned me for several months with customers that were extremely difficult. And then what happened 2 weeks later? I got 3 more fire jobs. So now we had a bad budget with customers who weren't aligned with us, who were nothing but a pain. And I had 3 other customers that were completely lovely. So that was the mistake. Sometimes you got to know when to walk away. Sometimes it's like, hey, look, maybe I'm not the guy for you. Basically what they wanted to do is they wanted to get us in and do all the dirty work or us to do all the dirty work, all the cleaning up and stuff like that. And then they wanted to take the insurance money from there and just do whatever they wanted with it. Those are customers that, that's where the customer's always right. It was things like that. So that's something I definitely learned that was bad in the beginning.
I mean, I guess when you're young, you kind of want to take any opportunity that's get
Yeah.
thrown.
Yeah.
So you
And I
guys
said it
still,
at other companies too. I've said it. I was like, listen, when I was on meetings with previous employers, big huddles and big, I'm like, listen, I'm just going to say this. And I know you guys aren't going to agree with me because you're thinking it's a $750,000 job, but guess what? You're never going to collect that 750 because you're never going to get to the end of it. This guy's involved with this committee or this HOA or this big committee of a church. Like, some of those jobs can become nightmares. Not saying don't ever work for a church. We will, but some of the, a lot of universities, when an alumni team gets involved, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare because everybody has, you get nowhere in this meeting. These meetings go hours and hours and hours long. Do you really want to be involved in this? Because there's times where, we started meeting with a college, previous employer once again, and nothing got done for a month. Started, like, okay, you guys are arguing amongst yourselves that these walls are getting wet and there's mold growing. So if you want to be penny pinching, now's not the time to do it. So I try and keep us away from those situations. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't work for those people, but I just know that I approach it differently. And I tell them I have to control the room. I'm like, listen, if you're hiring us, you're hiring me. Don't meet. I'm just going to do the job. And it's going to cost you this much. Well, we have to meet to talk. No, you don't have to talk about my scope. You don't know my job. I don't know yours. You have a budget. Give it to me and I'll tell you if I can do it or not.
so you got to have,
Put a big smile on my face.
you got to have standards, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to
Absolutely.
stand your ground.
You can't bend on your standards. You can't bend on it because people take advantage and honestly, it's not going to work out. And you're going to notice you're going to be that hamster on the wheel. It just keeps going and going and going and getting nowhere.
So I guess what's the next chapter for your company? Where are you guys looking to go?
Well, obviously we're looking towards expansion, probably sooner rather than later. There's going to be more trucks. There's going to be more interviews, more tradesmen in the door. I'm handling more volume. Unfortunately, I can't duplicate myself. So I have to start training people to start taking on roles that are beneath me to take all the, I don't want to say the garbage time, but all the time that I spend on lower level project manager stuff to, go to divert to different people so I can keep selling and growing the business. Probably, we're going to be investing in land in a building soon, a bigger building, just to hold our expansion because we're very quickly outgrowing our building and we're happy about it. These are all good problems. These are all good problems because, I mean, our revenue completed in one quarter is now our backlog starting 2 days into the next quarter. Like it's just, it's growing that fast. And, we're very excited about the future.
And I guess like how do people come to you? Is it through you guys advertise or what is it?
Right now, it's a lot of word of mouth. We don't advertise.
Oh, nice.
We don't advertise. One thing we're fortunate of, Jimmy Green Sr., the brother's father, he spent, 30 plus years building a good name for his flooring business. So when they spun something else off and started a remodeling business, that good report has followed. When his service happened, the line was around the block. It was so many people. And that's just a reputation that we have to uphold and make sure that it follows in with the Green Restoration and Remodeling, the same one the R&J Carpet Connection side had. And so far, I think we're doing it.
And you guys, is it like a smaller area or is it like a larger radius that you guys work out of?
We work in around a 50 to 75 mile an hour, we can go about 75 miles in a radius all the way around any direction.
Does that go out of the state or is it just?
No, we don't go out of the state. I mean, maybe parts of New Jersey, possibly, but.
And if you could give like one piece of advice, to end this off, what would you give to like the younger people or anyone getting started in the industry?
Stay motivated. I would say ignore the noise because here's one thing that I dealt with. I was the young guy on a construction crew, on a concrete crew where all the older guys were making fun of. I would say, you know what, one day I'm going to do this and this and this and this. And then they would try and do everything in their power to demote you in your mind. They'll say things like, well, if it's so easy, then how come everybody doesn't do that? They never say everybody's not the same. They never say, well, they never do an introspective and say, I'm the dirtbag that wants to drink every single night.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do it, so you can't do it. So if people want to ignore the noise, don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something. I have many times in my life where I've just ignored it, and I live my life a certain way. I just do. I'm up every day. I'm a big Kobe Bryant fan. I'm always looking at Dave Goggins videos on YouTube. I'm always about being motivated. I'm up at 4:30 a.m. every single day. I'm always trying to be the first one into the office. Although once in a while, the older brother beats me here and he lets me hear it. It's only happened like 3 times, but he still lets me hear it. I like to be the first one at the office. I'll be the last one to leave. I'm the one who's out there. If somebody calls with a job at 8 o'clock at night, I'm going to go and see if it's an emergency. I have to go and see if I can sign it up, get the recon together or whatever the case may be. You got to stay motivated and you got to ignore the noise. It's just the way it is. You're either going to be about it or you're not going to be about it. And that's black and white.
That's really good to end it off. This has been incredible, Manny. And I think everyone, watching this is definitely going to get something out of it.
I hope so.
Whether it doesn't really matter what stage they are, but this is exactly what, this podcast was built for. So yeah, thank you, man. See you guys in the next one.
Yeah, definitely. I hope to be back.